Momentum Energy, proudly energising the Crows.
I feel it has been a big week off the field. Can that kind of stuff flow onto the field as well?
A bit of buzz around the place, so that's always good. Guys trained really well. We've had a break, we're fresh. Up against the premiers. Should bring out the best in us.
What do you do selection-wise when you didn't have an SANFL game last week and a few blokes were on the comeback track? How do you decide who's ready and who isn't?
That's a difficult one for us, Rich. And the other bit, I don't want to sound disparaging to the Players Association, but then the 4-day CBA meant we really can't do anything with them as well. So yeah, that's difficult, but we're professional, we've got really good people in place, so we'll make the best of the situation.
So would Douglas be an immediate tick? The
difference between Douglas is he has only really been out since the showdown, whereas Crouch is a little bit difficult, and Henderson's coming off a back. We're about to go back and do match committee now, and that'll be the main discussion.
And how does Lever look with the ankle?
No, Lever won't play. Yeah, so we'll take our time with him. He improved today. Not going to come up.
Is Henderson okay to play somewhere this week?
Again, we do match committee. Part of match committee is medicals at the start of match committee. He looks as if he will be, but we'll get that confirmed later on today.
So the 4 days off has been good to just help settle down a bit.
Yeah, you know what backs are like though. It's one of those ones where we actually thought he was okay 2 weeks ago, and then it flares up again. I'm no back surgeon, but I know people have had bad backs and can drag on a little bit, and that's what's happened with this one.
What about the 4-day break for you? How did you sort of spend it, and have you sort of reevaluated, half a year into your senior coaching career?
Yeah, so I actually had 2 days off, which was great, but the other 2 days we reviewed, and we also did some structural things about, just how our structures stand up to be best practice. So probably the 2 things that came out of us, we've got to get better with our skills, and we still need to get a little bit better with our team defence. So the other 2 areas are going to work really hard on the second half of the year.
And how did you sort of reflect on how you sort of felt in the senior coaching chair?
We did a little bit of that, so I got some feedback from a number of people, not just the coaches, some other people around the club, and I want to be a better coach, so I've taken that on board as well.
But with the skills...
So you were tinkering in that bye week. How much can be seen very quickly? How much time is it going to take to see that tinkering on the field? Yeah,
so it's a bit of an unknown, Rich. One of the things I have looked at is, and the great thing now with footy clubs, because they're so professional, you can actually go back and you can track exactly how much time you've spent in certain areas, and I've done that, and there's probably a couple of areas of our ball movement where I probably haven't spent enough time, and I'm going to do that. So that's really good. You get a little bit more time. We've been able to plan really strongly for the second half of the year.
With the skills, trying to improve them, can you actually improve the players when they're at the stage of their careers they are? Or is it just getting them to hit their ceiling that they've got and they've always had?
That's a really good question. We had the same, when I was at West Coast, when I first went to West Coast, we had that same dilemma where we wanted to really improve the skills of the players, and we invested a lot of time and a lot of research into it. And over one pre-season in particular, we made massive inroads. We applied some of those things I learned at West Coast this year at the Crows, but it's probably only in the pre-season where you get the volume of time to really do it. So we're still work in progress. One thing that happens is the more you talk about it and the more it's out there in the media and the more the players hear about it, it's a little bit like it's front of mind, and we're really telling the players, look, let's just go for it. We want to take the game on. We want to play fast football. If we make mistakes, we'll wear that to a degree.
Is this the ultimate measuring stick Thursday night?
Yeah, it's a good question, Rich. I think they still are the best team, although I rate Fremantle and Sydney really highly. I still think Hawthorn offensively and defensively challenge her in ways that Sydney and Fremantle don't. They probably wouldn't have had the start to the year that they were hoping for though, whereas you probably look at Sydney and Fremantle and they probably have. In saying that, their losses have been pretty tight losses, so no, I'm really looking forward to the challenge that Hawthorn brings.
So what stands out from the Fremantle game is the message you gave at the end that what more do the players want to win the game? how does that then translate on Thursday night? Do you see that again, their willingness or their eagerness to actually get a good scout?
Great test, exactly that, Rooch. So the two games I've been disappointed with for that was the Port Adelaide game and the Fremantle game. Now you get the chance against the reigning back-to-back premiers. Again, our fans will come out. That's what they've shown. Fantastic supporter base. They turn up. The other thing I like about our fans, and probably that's one thing in the job that I didn't realise, is you actually get to talk to your Adelaide fans quite a bit, because they do come and want to engage you. They understand the game, and they understand where this team's at, but they also, for mine, need to be rewarded, and we'll be trying to do that on Thursday night.
So when you went to the players about that last quarter against Fremantle, were they mentally exhausted, physically exhausted, or just couldn't find something?
Couldn't find something. That was my take from it. And although I know the Carlton game, a lot of people looked at the Carlton game and probably said, oh gee, you're lucky to escape. I actually found in that last quarter that what was missing from our group against Fremantle was there in spades against Carlton. Now you could say, well, the standard of the opposition allowed that to happen. Yeah, but we were away from home. Carlton had all the momentum. There actually was a decent crowd at the MCG that day, and their fans actually got behind them, and our guys found a way. So again, on Thursday night, I'm hoping we can find a way to get our fans into it and get across the line.
Where do you think Hawthorn challenges you most in the way you want to play?
Well, the really good thing with Hawthorn is they counter-attack really well. They're a strong stoppage team, and their forward line speaks for itself. So they challenge you in all three aspects of the game. And as we saw against Port Adelaide here, they can come back from a really big lead. I remember last year even when they were undermanned here against Port Adelaide, that even then the game was well in hand, and then late in the game again, they still come back. So they're a team that are never out of it. They remind me a little bit of the great Brisbane teams of the early 2000s. You know, you never felt safe against Hawthorn, and you've seen that this year already in their close losses. They've still nearly found a way to get over the line.
When you talk about what the team had against Carlton that was lacking against Freo, are you talking about a sort of almost unexplainable will to win, or what exactly?
No, they were brave. I don't know if you remember the play, but say Jacobs has got the ball deep in the back pocket, we're behind, and we took the game on. Okay, so we were brave. Now, it nearly cost us the game. Talia nearly fumbled a ball, but it resulted in that brave movement ended us with us scoring. High risk, high return. The other thing in the Carlton game was then when we hit the front, the mechanism to shut the game down, across the board, our players reacted as they should.
Everyone talks about Hawthorn's foot skills. How do you stop that? What's the best way of at least dulling that to some extent?
Yeah, we've got to bring pressure, okay? So the fundamentals, all those little fundamental things, you have to be really on your game. They do challenge you. So the defensive shape you can get into against some teams, you can't get into against Hawthorn, because they'll exploit that. So you have to make some adjustments. By the same token though, if you worry too much about Hawthorn coming into this game, guess what? That's all you'll do. You'll be watching Hawthorn.
Is that the risk, Phil, that they could just get into a defensive mindset, think that they've got to hold Hawthorn, that they then don't play bravely?
I'd like to think right now, from the mindset I've tried to get these players into after training, the last training session, and our meeting, that they're in a mindset that they'll come to take the game on. And that's what I expect to see on Thursday night. And that's why I think our fans will be excited to come and watch this game of footy.
And how is it in a player's mind, when you ask them to be brave, that if there is a mistake, to reflect on what Ken Hickley said on the weekend, that they can be then scared to go back into that furnace?
Yeah, that's the art of coaching, Rich. Getting them in that mindset, and then being able to, when they make a mistake, everyone's going to make a mistake, then to be able to just let it go, and when that opportunity comes again, to go for it. I mean, I remember years ago the great Michael Jordan commercial about missing how many times he's missed the shot, but again he wanted the ball in his hands, and that's what you've got to have, that attitude. This is Formula One footy. If you want to drive safe, you're going to finish last.
So that bravery has to be at its peak when you play a team as good as Hawthorn then, Phil?
I think it's against nearly every team. You have to have that brave game style. Now, what happens though is if you don't get off to a good start, and that's what's happened to it. That's what's happened to us too much this season. You then just can't be stupid about it though as well. You have to go back to another plan. So you might just have to hold your ground for a little bit, but then to ultimately win the game the way teams defend now, you have to then go back to a braver ball movement, and that's basically the games. And we'll be trying to do that against the best team in the competition, in my opinion.
Do you feed off the 25th celebration?
Yeah, look, I feed off the fact that this club's got great tradition and a great history. And although I haven't mentioned it to the players, the first game showed that. Now, whether that resonates with the modern player, I'm not quite sure. But we'll have a lot of our past players here. We'll have a lot of past officials here. And for most of our fans, because it's only been 25 years, they can all remember that first game. And it'd be great synergy if we were able to get over the line on Thursday night.
So you said there'll be a lot of sort of ex-players and that sort of thing here. Will the build-up be any different for the players?
Yeah, no, so they won't be involved in the actual build-up to the players. I won't mention that game. It's more about, for this group, where we've got to get to, how we've got to get there, and getting them in that mindset. And although it's not just another game for our fans and for the club, for the players, if you just build up one game too much, then what happens the next week? You've got to come up with something else to build that game up, and it's unsustainable. So there's got to be an acceptable standard of what's required when you go out there, and that's what we try to do every week.
Well, you mentioned the buzz at the start of the press conference about Rory and Richard. Is there a point where you start to lose patience with the non-decision of Patrick somewhere in the second half of the year?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to make any comment on any of those of negotiations, and we'll just stick to the course and see where that leads us.
Phil, on the bigger picture of the game, have you got a thought on the third man up in the ruck contest?
Yeah, good. I've had a thought about it for a long time, Rich. And when I was at West Coast, when we had Cox and Nat Nui, we'd come up against that tactic quite a bit, and it does frustrate me a little bit. I understand why clubs do it. I was intrigued by the Port Adelaide Geelong game, actually. It's probably one of those. It's probably one of those things where I don't think we need a rule to stop it, but I have a view, and I think it's held by. No, I know it's held by Scott Camporelli as well. If you're going to go third man up, if your structure around that stoppage is correct, you should have one extra player, so you actually should win that clearance. And I think I haven't looked at the stats closely, but the thing that's happening definitely for Geelong at the moment, and Hawthorn like doing it as well. Jordan Lewis last year, I think, was the person who went third man up the most in the AFL. I think Geelong, their third man up is actually to their advantage, but I think across the league, when your team goes third man up, it's actually to your disadvantage.
So you'd welcome then that tactic being brought against Jacobs on the weekend, tomorrow night, sorry.
If I was a ruckman, I'd be disappointed with being able to do it. In my time in footy, though, I've been involved in games where we've tried to do it, like go third man up, and guess who the guy going third man up ended up hurting? Our own player. So there is that element of friendly fire, but you just think about it. If you're a ruckman, say at a ball up, you're worried about going up, then all of a sudden you've got a guy maybe 192 centimetres is allowed to have a run and jump and put a knee straight into your back. It's pretty strange that you can get away with that in a sport.
And also, you know, that's one of the beauties of the sport as well, is, you know, this battle between two big men. Is it something that, I mean, I know you said you don't want to rule, but it's something that needs to be protected, isn't it? That sort of the battle between these two big blokes.
Yeah, I like that. I like that element of it. I agree exactly with what you're saying. But then I don't want to advocate another rule, so I'm on the fence to a degree. I think it's just been highlighted a little bit because of the way Geelong are using it at the moment.
All good, guys? I just wanted to ask, Phil, we saw, obviously, it was received brilliantly, the match-up between Dangerfield and Fife few weeks back. Is that something you'll look to engineer tomorrow night? You know, maybe against either Mitchell or Jordan Lewis or one of the Hawks midfield guys.
Yeah, really good question. You're going to have to wait and see.
It's a bit harder with Hawthorn because they haven't got. They're pretty even through there.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Which one that you do?
It's interesting with Hawthorn though. So, say if Langford plays, he'll probably go to someone. So it probably won't be like for like. Whereas against Fremantle, they really didn't have. Since Crowley's no longer available for them, Ross has gone down more that team defence line. So it probably is not exactly like for like. Momentum Energy, proudly energising the Crows.